Self-directed learning strategies, collaboration, and network learning. Collaboration and self-directed learning work well together. Constructivism, one of the largest branches of educational philosophy, purports that students do not passively receive knowledge and meaning, but rather create their knowledge and meaning through their unique experience with the materials, ideas, and strategies being explored. The subjective and local experiences of individuals have an inextricable influence on how and what they learn. Research has taken this another step further and shown that the impact of cooperative learning in the classroom, within schools of education and beyond, is related to the acceptance of the idea that students construct meaning through interactions with others. Not only are the individual interactions students have with one another impactful, but learning environment formed as a result of these interactions create a culture that helps to make self-directed learning the status quo. Here's how you can use collaboration in self-directed learning. First, to support feedback. Internalizing the often complex and nuanced elements of the whole self-directed learning process is a sophisticated undertaking, and one that involves a unique journey for each student. Students require opportunities to actively construct an understanding of the feedback through collaboration with others. 2. To add support structures to late-stage self-directed learning. In the stages of self-directed learning where teacher-directed supports are meant to be minimal, peer supports can fill in the gaps without interfering with the student-led paradigm of self-directed learning. This could be one-time partnerships where students provide one another with formative feedback on a process or product, or long-term teamwork where small groups meet regularly to compare stories about their process, engage in discussions about what is going on well, and where they are struggling with, and work together to come up with next step solutions. Here are some challenges for collaboration in self-directed learning. Whenever there is more than one person involved in the same task, the potential for one of them to take over or dominate the process is a potential issue. Self-directed learning is only meaningful if the individual is actively engaged in the process. Collaborative efforts that undermine individual autonomy and agency undermine self-directed learning. Relational dynamics, relative strengths, scheduling, interpersonal issues, and many other challenging variables suddenly become potential sources of problems once collaboration begins as well. Ultimately, it is up to the educator to make the judgment calls regarding how and where collaboration should enter into the self-directed learning process. Teaching students how to make similar judgment calls for their own learning through a process of modeling, emulating, and integrating. There is great opportunity for self-directed learning processes through a new pedagogy called network learning. This is a pedagogy that doubles down on the perspective that knowledge emerges or is constructed in a relational dialogue or collaborative interaction. Knowledge is not a property, but a social construction and way of knowing from our experience of the world. It is where people in a network share a common interest, exchange ideas, and help each other, and people call on each other when they have a problem to solve or something to offer. It is commonly considered a prime example of socially shared cognition. There are clear overlaps between the vision of network learning and self-directed learning. Here's a quick comparison. While collaborative learning is focused on working together for a single common vision, whether that is a project with many members or a peer editing process with each individual providing a particular service for the others, network learning is less focused and more about the learning culture itself. Network learning is a framework that believes students are a great resource for one another, both as collaborators in mutual endeavors, as well as resources that can educate one another. While pure self-directed learning can involve collaboration, it is essential for network learning. While pure self-directed learning remains focused on the goals of the individual, network learning encourages a more community-based center for learning and producing. I personally believe there is a lot of potential for these pedagogies to support one another in certain contexts. I'm currently working on a vision that merges network learning and self-directed learning into one combined pedagogy. As a part of my work in the Professional Masters of Education program, I have begun work on developing a new pedagogical method I term self-directed learning networks that merges the attributes of self-directed learning and network learning into a unique learning opportunity. This framework is still in development. However, I have included an overview of its current design in the appendix of the paper. I encourage you to check it out if you're curious. For now, if you're interested in learning more about some of the other strategies to help support implementing self-directed learning, click on one of the top 2 links here. If you're ready to move on to the next big idea, as always, click on the link on the bottom right.